Hello, I'm Collin Floyd, and today I'm going to be talking to you about Session 1 of the JA Career Success modules. It's about critical thinking and creativity. I guess the first thing we should talk about is why I am able to talk to you about career success. Well, number one, I work at Gibbs Die Casting, and I've been there for about 16 years. Various roles I've performed. Currently, I'm a process engineer. I've been a production manager out there. I've also been a line lead and on the line. So as far as knowing what it takes to get a job and keep a job, I'm pretty good at that. And hopefully I can share some of that information with you today. So JA Career Success is about how to get a job and keep that job once you have it. We're going to be reviewing the 4 C's, which are creativity, critical thinking, communication, and collaboration. The 4 C's used to describe learning and innovation skills that are going to be necessary in today's job force, which I can explain is very true. You need creativity and being able to think on your toes, as some people say. Critical thinking, how to think and decide that one thing is better than another and do so fairly quickly. And communication, being able to talk to people that you work with. I've been in a lot of situations where people just simply do not want to talk to one another, and that causes just about any job that you're on to break down. So it's really important to be able to communicate. And collaboration, being able to work as a group and be a cohesive team is absolutely vital to the success for any company, whether you're flipping burgers or making automotive parts or operating as a CEO of some company. You have to be able to collaborate with people that you work with. Otherwise, everything just breaks down. So, critical thinking and creativity. Critical thinking is defined as the process of using logic and reasoning to make a judgment. I use critical thinking all the time at work as a process engineer. My job as a process engineer is to figure out when things go wrong, how to fix those things, and when we have new business that comes in, I do a lot of the math and a lot of logistics that are integral to us to being able to make the new parts. Do the equations and figure out how much metal it takes to make a part and how fast that metal has to be delivered into the press to make the part fill out correctly, and also the systems that are involved with that. I do a lot with those things. So doing that requires me to think critically on things, comparing and contrasting. Do we need a 380 metal or a 390 metal, which runs a little bit quicker and a little bit more fluid, but is better for certain things. Being able to compare and contrast is very important as far as any job is concerned. Then creativity is defined as the ability to create something new or original, or try a new approach to get things done. We use creativity all the time. We wouldn't be where we're at right now. Me talking to you on a webcam is because somebody decided that I want to be able to talk to somebody other than face to face, which is super important. Other forms, such as creativity, would include, let's say, automobiles. At some point, we were just walking around our feet. Nobody had any idea that we'd be within the next 2,000 years being able to drive around in these vehicles and get place to place super quick. That's all because somebody thought differently than everybody else that was around them. So creativity is super important, and you will use it all the time in just about any job that you end up having. So we're going to take a moment and we're going to go over how to use critical thinking and creativity in day-to-day situations. So the first one is decisions have consequences. This scenario is you work at the counter of a busy fast food restaurant. The customer is placing a breakfast order and has several special requests. Some of the requests will hold up the line for other customers. What would you do in these situations? So, one of the solutions that we could come up with on the fly, being creative, is we can tell the customer that you're sorry, but the restaurant's too busy for special orders. They're going to have to accept the food as is on the menu. What will the possible consequences be for this decision? So the consequences of solution one. Although you're saying sorry, it's just a polite way of saying no. the restaurant may lose the customer's business and that of the other customers who heard you. It's cheaper for a business to keep a current customer with good service than it is to attract new customers. Also, if the customer complains about your service, there could be consequences for you. These are all very reasonable things that could happen in that situation. Being able to say no, I also want to say, is art in itself. Sometimes you do have to say no to certain situations. Whether or not this is one of them, I can't necessarily say. You just have to decide when those things arise and be creative when they happen. So another possible solution that we can look at is take care of the special request and ask for help from a manager or a coworker to keep the line moving. What would the possible consequences be of this action? All right. So this will cost you some time and energy to meet the request of this person. You need to apologize to the next few customers in line for the delay. I mean, think about it. If you've ever been behind somebody that has ordered a whole lot of stuff and you're in a hurry, you're just sitting there thinking like, oh my goodness, like, doesn't this person know better? And you're just wishing somebody would do something about the situation. Like, you're just there to get a blizzard and somebody in front of you is getting like a 5-pack meal and, 18 blizzards for like the football team, and you're just thinking to yourself, well, if they're actually gonna let this happen, I'm just gonna go somewhere else, So think of it from that person's shoes also. So, however, most businesses demand good customer service and often reward employees for the extra effort. And most managers would prefer you ask them for help rather than risk losing a customer. So yeah, one of the things that I bring up very often, back when I was a manager, was when we had people come on that were new, super important to ask for help. You're going to be in a lot of situations where you don't know exactly what to do immediately, and you're going to be faced with choices and decisions that you may or may not be ready for. When things like that happen, I like to always stress that ask for help. It's very rare that you're completely alone and left to trying to figure out everything without any kind of help whatsoever. Even if it means putting somebody on hold on a phone or telling a customer that they need to wait in line for a second, going and getting help and figuring out what you need to do overall will help out yourself and the company overall in the long run. So don't be afraid to ask for help when you feel like you need to get some help on just about anything, whether it be a question or just problems that you have at a line. So which would you choose? It's important to remember that. Remember, we're going to face problems in our work lives, and there will be consequences no matter what choices you make. Even though it seems like it may be the best choice on the face of the earth, we never know how that decision is going to fall out to the people that we're going to be dealing with. And it's also important to have a way to systematically make decisions that increase the positive outcomes and reduce outcomes that are negative. Obviously, negative outcomes are the ones we want to avoid, and we want to shoot for those positive outcomes as often as possible. Personally, I don't think there is a right answer to this. Whichever one works out in the situation is the one that you should go with. Sometimes it's going to be more important for you to tell that person that, hey, we can't do that. The items we have on the list are as is to keep the line moving. If you're in the middle of a lunch rush or something of that nature, we need to keep those guys going. Getting bogged down because a person asked for green pickles in their blizzard isn't a plausible reason for you to back up everybody that's behind them and then end up being in a rush for the next couple of hours. So keep that in mind. There's not always a best choice. So there are differences between work and school. You'll learn that once you get out in the workforce. Some of you may already do some small work, whether it be a Dariat or a Sherway or something like that. But I think most everybody knows that once we get out and we're doing work outside of school, the situation is different than, in the classroom. So school exists to give students something, an education. So what is most important at school is you, the student. However, this changes when you enter the workforce. Businesses exist to provide goods and services in exchange for payment. So what is most important in the business is what's best for the business in a lot of cases. We also need to watch out for our employees and make sure that we take them into consideration also, because we also don't want to lose employees from a work perspective, and also being a manager. But one of the first things that we do need to keep in mind and at the workplace is that we want to continue to have jobs and be able to buy the things that we like buying, whether it be really neat cameras or going on really neat trips or trucks or four-wheelers. Those things are all things that are really important that we keep in mind of when we're in the workplace. What does poor decision making cost you when you're on the job? All right. Poor decisions can affect other employees and other departments or the entire company. For example, at my job, if a person decides that they're not going to pay attention to the stuff that they're passing as they're inspecting automotive parts on the line, we can get one of those parts to a customer, and when they see that, they may end up holding everything that we have, and we have to end up redoing everything that we spent so much time doing to begin with. The same way, let's say, let's use the whole fast food situation again. You're at work and you put mayonnaise on a burger instead of ketchup. The person gets back out of the line and they find out that they have the wrong item on the burger. They're going to come back and they're going to ask you to fix it. So this person that you've already waited on once, you're going to have to wait on again, and it's not like you're going to get any extra money for that in any kind of way. You just hold everybody else up, and then everybody else in the line sees that you're incapable of doing things right the first time, and everybody pauses when they get done to check and make sure that what they have is right also, because, at that point you've shown that you're unreliable as a worker. So that's something that can happen. So poor decisions could prevent you from advancing your career. So we all do forms of group work. At work, I have to work with all kinds of different individuals, and in doing so, it's in my best interest to do so really well, to the best of my ability, because that shows that I'm a really good team player, and it offers me more opportunities down the road. In the same respect, I guess you may be in situations where if you're doing group work, you want people on your team or in those groups that are actually going to do the work when you have a really important assignment. If you have an assignment that's 1/4 your grade and it's a team activity, you want people that are on your team that are going to make sure you get an A. In the same way, I want to make sure that I work with people at work that are going to make sure that we do really good when we do projects. It's the same in both places. So when you do really good at work, you end up getting better jobs. You get thought of for other opportunities, and you just kind of really show really well to management, and that helps you advance a lot faster. And I can say that without a doubt, because it's happened to me also. I've gotten a lot of opportunities that I don't think I would have gotten if I didn't work with really good people and was a really good worker myself. So poor decisions also could have safety issues. We have a whole lot of heavy machinery, and a person not doing something right can mess things up really quickly and get somebody hurt really bad if we're not careful. So just be mindful of that also. Poor decisions could cause financial problems for your employer. So like I mentioned earlier, poor quality means redoing things, and when we have to remake stuff, it means that we have to re-pour the metal. Sometimes we have to melt it all back down again, and that's not cheap. We have a lot of blast furnaces going, so metal that we thought we were done with, we have to melt down again. We have to bring people in, and sometimes we have to work weekends because we didn't do things right the first time, and that's more money for the company. And honestly, while we do make money for working there, we also like to have time off. There's no reason to have a really nice vehicle or a four-wheeler to go mudding if you don't have the time to go mudding, stuff like that. Even me, I like photography. If I'm at work all the time, what's the point? So we want to make sure that we do things right the first time, and once we do those things, we can enjoy the lives that we want to live outside of work. While it's important to have a career, get a job, and be good at that job, we also want to be able to also still live the lives we want to live outside of there. So I guess the ultimate thing is poor decisions could also even cost you your job. Not having a job will keep you from being able to have advantages that other people have. You know, having money allows you to travel. Having money allows you to buy your first house, your vehicles, all kinds of things that you need to have a reasonable life. You'll be able to make and get through having a good job and being good at that job. So poor decision making and not being able to use critical thinking and creativity on the job can lead to these kind of problems, especially not having a job. So, businesses need employees who can solve problems using logic and creativity. The diagram that you see here is a tool to help you use critical thinking and creativity to solve problems at work or even in your personal lives. So we're going to review these. So this problem solving tool, the very first step is to identify the problem and collect information about the problem and causes. We want to then analyze the problems and propose possible alternative solutions by weighing the pros and cons of each. Remember to consider creative alternatives. So when you have a problem, a lot of times people want to say, oh, you know, this is the exact way that you solve a problem. There's no exact way at the gate. This is another thing where teams are really important and really useful. When you have a large group of people and you're all trying to come up with solutions to a problem, it's important to write all those down because sometimes other people think a lot differently than we do. And when they do that, we can think of really creative solutions to problems that we ourselves may have not thought of. So no matter how silly a situation is or how silly a solution may be, write it down because it may lead you to something that you didn't think of, even though the solution may be silly. All right, and then third one, you need to choose the best action and then act on it. All right. Sometimes you may choose different ones. Sometimes you may come back around because one didn't work, but it's really important to make a decision and act on one of them, you know, after weighing the pros and cons. All right. So, in review, as an employee, you're going to be faced with problems at work. There's no situation in which you will not face a problem at work at some point. It's how you deal with those problems that really stands you out to leadership and really helps you solve those problems. The quicker you're able to do it, and the better you're able to do it, the better off you're going to be. We do that by being able to think critically and creatively solve problems to help you with these things. Next session, we're going to talk about how to handle conflicts when not everyone agrees with the decision. Until then,